Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're talking about Metabo HPT 36-volt multi-volt framing nailer. And if that sounds familiar, it's because we did talk about the Metabo HPT 36-volt framing nailer, except in the last episode, we talked about the 21-degree plastic collated framing nailer. This episode, we're talking about the 30-degree paper collated framing nailer. So we're gonna go over this tool top to bottom, see if there's any real difference, have some fun with it, probably make some errors and all kinds of fun stuff. So stick with us. So this right here is Metabo HPT's 36-volt multi-volt 30 degrees paper collated framing nailer. Man, try to say that fast. Model number on this one is NR3690DC. If that sounds familiar, it's because the one we reviewed before this one was the NR3690DR, and that one, is only one letter difference between that one and this one, and the only difference is plastic collated and paper collated. So if you want to take anything away from this video, you don't want to watch the whole thing, just take that away. There's two versions of this. It's pretty much exactly the same thing, except only one difference is, the nail strips that you really put into it. Other than that, warranty, specs, performance, all that kind of stuff is pretty much the same. It's really just a matter of what type of degree and what type of collation you want to put in it. Some say, clip nails and round head nails and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's talk about nailers in general. Let's talk about cordless nailers. So cordless nailers, there's really two types of cordless nailers. Really, there's probably a lot more, but two mainstream ones. But when it comes to cordless nailers, there is the gas-powered one, right? And then there's the battery-powered one. Don't get me wrong, the gas-powered ones do have a battery to, ignite the chamber and fire everything. But in the battery-powered one, we're strictly talking about only battery-driven ones, right? So what does that mean? In the battery-powered arena of framing nailers, there's two types of ways that they work. The Metabo HPT and the Milwaukee one, they kind of use compressed nitrogen or air cylinders, right, to drive the nail. And then there is the DeWalt type, or all the ones that, let's say, the Stanley Black & Decker group owns, like DeWalt, Porter, Cable, Craftsman, all the time. They generally use like framing nailers. They generally use flywheels to fire the pins. Ryobi also, I don't know if they have a framing nailer. I don't think they do, but on the pin nailers, brad nailers, all that stuff, they use an air strike system. But on this one, it uses a air cylinder type that drives it, which gives it more of a pneumatic feel. There's pros and cons to that. We'll drill that in. But before we get too far into it, let's go look at the marketing hype, and then we'll bring you in closer and take a better look at it. So this right here is a 36-volt multi-volt 3.5-inch cordless paper strip framing nailer. It's here to maximize efficiency on the job site. This cordless nailer allows for productivity to boost, as you not have to navigate the long job site with long hoses. Obviously, okay, well, let's talk about the important parts. This uses a unique air spring drive system. It's a 36-volt platform. It has a similar feel and performance to the pneumatic nailer. The pneumatic feel combined with the convenience of power of that multi-volt battery allows you to work all day long. It can fire pretty much driving clipped or offset nails anywhere between 2 inches to 3.5 inches in length, and 0.113 inches up to 0.131 inches in diameter. You can buy this as a tool only or a kit. If you buy it as a kit, it comes with a 2.5 amp hour multi-volt battery. This one only runs on their multi-volt battery platform. The 2.5 amp hour multi-volt battery that you use will give you around 900 nails per a charge, okay? So, it basically says it's driven for or designed for construction applications, framing applications. Obviously, the motor drive system that runs in here is brushless, so it doesn't have brushes, lets you run longer, cooler, all that kind of fun stuff. The depth adjustment system is toolless. You just turn the little knob. There's 0 ramp up time. There's selective actuation. What that really means is you could do single fire or bump fire. It does have a dry fire lockout, which I'm going to talk about that one in a little bit. It has a side lock switch, has a pivoting hook, which could also be improved. And this one is covered by Metabo's HPT limited lifetime lithium ion tool warranty, and the battery is covered by a 2-year lithium ion battery warranty if you buy it as a kit. If you buy it as a kit, it will also include obviously the rapid charger and a carrying bag, and safety glasses, which I thought was interesting. I did buy them at a kit, and it did come with those clear safety glasses. All right, so this is obviously a left-hand part of the tool. This is the business part of the tool. We'll go over some of this stuff real quick. As quick as we can, with giving you as much information as you need. So all this Green stuff here is pretty much plastic. It's power tool plastic. It's all, you know, like glass reinforced fiber type material, polymer type stuff. This black stuff here is rubber overmolded, and as I mentioned in the other video, this black stuff here is pretty good. Like the rubber overmolding rubberized feeling is really good. It hasn't had any issues with it. It does stick to a lot of sawdust. We did clean this off, you know, and stuff like that, but it's still sawdust stuck to it. All kinds of fun stuff happening here, right? It's got Metabo branding nailer here. This part here, top part here, that's black is not rubberized. It's literally just hard plastic. So is this nail strip here, okay? So moving on here from that, this nail strip magazine part is plastic, but if you look in here, there's parts in here that hold it to the tool, you know, using metal. So that part is good. We haven't had this one too long. We did kind of buy this, you know, a couple weeks ago. Actually, maybe more than that. Actually, it's been a couple months, and we have been using it since. The plastic has held up pretty well, especially where the nail goes and hasn't really had any, you know, chipping or any of that stuff. This part right here, it is like, you know, like I said, reinforced with metal, so you know it's going to be pretty solid. And just in case you didn't know what kind of nails you need to buy, it'll tell you right here: 30-degree paper collated. So the plastic collated ones will also say, you know, 21-degree plastic collated. We'll drill into that one in a second. But all this stuff is here. This is the loading mechanism that actually holds a strip of nails forward. The way that this one works is there is a little part here you want to push back if you're this far in, which you never really should be, and if you let it go, it will go this way. And as I mentioned in the other video, if you're working really fast and just dropping nails in, and you got, you know, gloves on or whatnot, sometimes it's hard to put the nails in and pull it back without holding this, sometimes therefore leading you to being pushing like this and not actually working too well. So this is actually not how it's supposed to work. You can't just pull this back now, because now this plastic piece is holding the nail strip in. So now you have to hold this and let it go like this and put it back. Personally, I'm not the big fan of this system. I think sometimes I keep going back and forth. There's systems that you just pull it back once and it stays here, and then you put the nail in and just touch it, pull it back, let it go, and like that. I'm more a fan of that, but you know, we're just nitpicking. This system works well, okay? Other than that, all this stuff here on this side, like I mentioned, is plastic here. Parts that are important that you really need are metal. This is the trigger right here, same trigger as, you know, any power tool type of trigger. This right here is a lock out mechanism, so even if you have a battery in and on and stuff like that, you can lock it out as an extra safety. If you pull it down, right, then the trigger will engage, okay? This right here is a Rafter hook, and I do have a small problem with this Rafter hook, as I mentioned in the previous video. Just look at this, right? If you look at it, like you think 2x material fits here, but I mean, come on, where are you gonna put this with this nail magazine thing here? It doesn't really make any sense. I really do wish, as I mentioned in the previous video, they put the really big one on here such that you don't have problems with this. So because of this setup, it's really hard to put on 2x lumber. I mean, where are you gonna do? Sometimes you just have to put on a piece of metal or something that's around the job site, but that's what's really going on there. This Rafter hook is reversible, so maybe that's what they really want you to do, and put it on this side here. You just take off 3 screws, put it in there, bam, done, okay? Let's talk about the back bar here. This right here is where the nail strips go in. We'll show you how that stuff really works here. To take this nail strip out, let me just take it out. There we go. This episode, we're using pass load nails from leftover from our pass load gun. So, you know, nail strips go in here like so. You can drop it in, then you can pull this lever back. There you go. Nail strip is now loaded. While we're talking about this nail strip, when it does dry fire lockout, this is what it's left with. If you don't want to count, this is pretty much 8 nails. Some will say you could use clip nails, some will say you can use offset full head nails. This is just a pass load. This is interior, so don't use that obviously on pressure treated stuff. But you know, that's how you really load that. And the point I wanted to make is there's 8 nails left in there when it does dry fire lockout. That's a lot. I'm just not a big fan of that, but you know, especially since the magazine is so small, it would be nice if they could get it down like 1 or 2, but you know, we're asking for a lot there. So on the back here, obviously where the battery engages, if you want to talk about the interesting parts of detail, they do have rubberized parts here that hold this battery compartment system. If you see here where it flexes, it kind of dampens the shock between the tool and the battery compartment, right? So there's 2 right here. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen these on a framing nailer. Like other battery powered nailers do not have this. So that's interesting to note that they paid attention to detail here. Like I mentioned, this part's flat. You can, there's a way to, you know, once the cylinder and stuff like that needs servicing and, you know, needs air filled, then you could service it, but it's not really designed for that. To send it back to the factory and they can send it to you. Or if you're really in, you know, if you're just going through a ton of service, or if it's out of warranty, you know, you can just buy a little part that connects in here and it fills up the air. We can show you that sometime later. On this side, back side here, pretty much nothing fancy going on here. If you talk about the guide system up here, or the drive system, there's a big middle button right here that you press, it turns on. When you turn it on, it'll always fire in single fire mode. If you want to put it in bump fire mode, you just press this little blue button here for a little bit, and when that blue light starts blinking, it means you are in bump fire mode. There are other LEDs on here, like on the left side where you see that it's red. When it's red, it means that it's overheated or needs some maintenance or tool or issues like that. We have not overheated this, but also we're not doing any production framing, so you may overheat it if you do run into that type of system. Talk about the front here. The front part is pretty standard. This right here is a depth adjustment guide mechanism. You just spin this way or this way. There's little drawings on here to tell you which way to spin, and this little bar right here will tell you exactly where the depth drive system, let's say, is set to. So this one, I believe, I still haven't messed with it. It's out of the factory. It's been fine. If you're driving a lot of framing lumber, or currently new kiln dried framing lumber, it'll just overdrive it and drive it in. We just left it like that. It's fine. It will work fine on LVL or engineered lumber. We'll go ahead and show you that in a little bit. But let's talk about the teeth here. So this teeth is the same as the teeth in the other one, the 21-degree plastic collated one, whereas I don't think it's overly aggressive. What I mean by that is if I put it here, right, and if I'm framing it or if it's going really fast and you just wanted to push hard, you could easily just, push it past where it just slides, right? That's easy. Some of the other framing nailers on the market will have a little bit more aggressive teeth that really grab it right there. And because it's a framing nailer, I think having that more aggressive teeth is useful. So now let's talk about this one and the other one, right? So this one right here, which is the NR3690DR. So this right here is the plastic collated one. As I mentioned here, I'll tell you right here, a 21-degree plastic collated, that's pretty much the only real difference. This one right here is the paper collated one. And if you look at them side by side, obviously the magazine angles are gonna be a little bit different, right? But other than that, they are pretty much exactly the same tool, including up to the teeth, the drive system, the service, all that kind of fun stuff. Everything is pretty much exactly the same except for the magazine angle and the nails that they use. It's so far the same. The model number is exactly the same except for one letter, okay? So let me see if we can show you this stuff in action on engineered lumber. Obviously on framing lumber, you'll go ahead and see during our test, it worked actually pretty fine. But this right here is LVL and this right here is also LVL, right? So if we put this battery in here, this is a 2.5 amp hour lithium ion battery or multi-volt lithium ion battery. We hold this button here, it will turn it on. As the green light comes on, as you see, I don't know if you can see it here, but it turns on with a blue light. Currently, we are using 3-inch pass load bright nails. So let's go ahead and show you how it works here. Right? So those three obviously work fine. And this one has pretty much exactly the same problem as the 21-degree plastic collated one does, where it has a safety feature, but to me it gets a little bit annoying. When you hold it down, here, let me show you from this angle. If you hold it down here for more than 2 seconds, right, it will not fire. You see, it's a safety feature. Sometimes when you're framing, you hold it there and then you tap the wood or piece of wood or whatever your material, and then just get it exactly into position where you fire. If you do that with this, you're gonna get really annoyed. And that's sometimes a problem because, you only have 2 hands, and because you're holding the nailer with 1 hand, you can't have, you need 2 hands to put the pieces together. So it gets a little bit annoying, especially since a lot of people, including myself, will use a nailer to push and hold the material and then do it, right? So if you're doing that, make sure you just keep note of that because, it does get really annoying. One of the things that I found was, sometimes you get into the mode of, you need to do that, you just gotta go fast, right, within the 2 seconds. So not all the nailers will do that. Some nailers will wait 3 seconds, some nailers will wait 5 seconds, but on these Metabo NR3690D series nailers, it will have about 2 seconds, and that's fast. So now let's talk about trying to do bump fire fast on LVL, okay? So go ahead and switch this to, push this blue button here, set it to bump fire, see the LED is going. We'll go ahead and go here, and we're gonna go at a reasonable speed to, you know, what a normal person would do on a regular job site instead of ba 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 ba, right? Watch this, here we go. If you do that, you know, it doesn't sync all the way. You can probably, let's see if we adjust this to sync more and see if that helps at all. I would say that's reasonable, right? Speed that we went. Try that again. See, in that case, it works fine, but you can also set it back to exactly where it was, right? And then go at a normal bump drive speed and it will be fine. See? So it really just a matter of how fast you work. If you're in production framing, you know, it may not be the nailer for you, but you're just gonna have to work with it, all right? So we tested this 3690DC framing nailer with a 4 amp hour battery. This is a 2.5 amp hour multi-volt battery, but we tested it with a 4 amp hour battery. In the video, it was fully charged. We fired 45 nails in single fire mode, and we did have to reload at least once. And we started with the full strip, reloaded once and fired, and all 45 sunk fine, right? It took roughly around 49 seconds to do all of that. So, you know, it's pretty quick. On bump fire mode, we fired 45 nails again, and it sunk all 45 of them. If not, it even overdrove them, right? And that one, it took around 33.18 seconds, right? We started with the full strip, we had to reload once. According to the specs and everything, you know, it says it can't, right now, with this current configuration, you can only take 1 strip of nails, and it takes about 47 nails in that strip. If you count the 8 from dry fire lockout, it's really more like 39 nails or 38 nails or something like that, but you know, just keep that in mind. The max nail for these framing nailers is about 3.5 inches, and this tool and the 4 amp hour multi-volt battery combination comes in weighing at a whopping 11.24 pounds, which is not light, okay? So let's go take a look at numbers, right? So compared to the other one, the 3690DR, the single fire one, that one completed at around 58 seconds, whereas this one completed about 49 seconds. I'm gonna say that's probably a user operator problem. As you can see, a lot of time was absorbed between reloading the nails and how you kind of reload some of those nails. Personally, I've been using more of the plastic collated ones, mainly because for some reason, I've always started in having a lot of plastic collated nails, but recently just been adding more paper nails. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. Maybe just operator error, like I said, but you know, it's generally there. I'm sure we could do it a lot of times to get the numbers closer, but you know, that's what it is. On the bump fire one, we got about 33.18 seconds. And then on the other one with bump fire, the 21 degree plastic collated ones, we got 37.02. Like I said, it's probably all inside of the reloading the nails, because if you look at the time between nails, it's pretty much the same. So let's compare that to the 18 volt version, which is the NR3690 DRS. And those took around about 61 seconds on single fire and 40 on bump fire. Yes, including all the other stuff that goes into it. If we take, you know, say the other one's in 30s and this one in the 40s, yes, it's a pretty big size of difference. So yes, the multi-volt nailers are faster than the 18-volt nailers, as you would only imagine, right? Makes common sense. It's even in their marketing, it says it's even faster, so, you know, all the numbers seem to match up. But if you compare these nailers to the DeWalt nailers, let's go talk about the DCN21PL. That nailer we've had for a while. Man, I really wish the first one that we had, 890 or whatever that was, didn't crap out, but you know, that one just crapped out, so we can't even test it. That one runs on a 20-volt DeWalt system, and we fired 45 nails, but it only sunk 38 of them, left 8 of them proud, and it took 107 seconds to do the job, right? Bump fire mode, it left 9 proud and 36 were sunk, and it took about 65 seconds. But that nailer was 8 pounds, 0.59 ounce, or 8.59 pounds, right? So it's a lot lighter, but it is not as consistent, not as fast, and not as powerful. So, you know, if you're trying to decide which nailer to get, I'm okay with working with a little bit heavier tool to get more consistency and more performance, but that decision is going to be up to you, because you're going to have to be in this platform. So that's what's really there is to it. Should you go out and get the Milwaukee one? You know, I don't know. We're going to go have and test that. I have been using it for a while, but I don't know how well that's going to perform compared to this. So maybe we'll test that next. Who knows? So would I buy this again? Let's go ahead and talk about this, because all this stuff was not sent to us. This is not sponsored. Nobody gave this stuff to us. We actually paid for it with our own monies. So would I go buy it again if I didn't have this? Most definitely. Would this be the nailer? If I didn't have a nailer and I needed to go get a framing nailer, this is the one I would get. This one or the plastic one, either one of them, the NR3690D series. Those are the ones to get, especially on the multi-volt platforms. You can get it as a kit, like I said, with the 2.5 amp hour battery. And depending on when and where you get it as a kit, it will go anywhere between, you know, $400 to $499, so about 500 bucks. Every once in a while, you'll probably be able to get it on sale with another tool battery or something like that for around 400-ish. That will probably be the best deal you could probably get, considering you get a lifetime warranty, you know, and that's a pretty good deal. So, but it's not for everyone. If you don't do a lot of framing, you know, it may not be it. To me personally, I really enjoy not having to drag a compressor around and then connect the hose so it trip over it all the time. So, you know, it's really up to you if you want to get it or not. But if I wanted to get it again, like I said, I would definitely get this one again, because this is a series that we're getting into, right? So hope this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions like that, let us know. I know somebody asked me a question the other day, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was, should they get this one or the, should they get this one or the 18-volt one? I personally would get the multi-volt one. Yes, it is, I want to say, I think last time I looked, it was like $50-ish more expensive, if I remember correctly, and that may not be right, so don't quote me on that, but it's just a little bit more expensive regardless of how much more expensive it is. I believe it is worth getting the multi-volt model over the 18-volt model, not only because of the performance, but also because you get the battery if you get it as a kit. And the multi-volt battery is backwards compatible with their 18-volt system, but you cannot use 18-volt batteries on this tool, okay? So that's primarily the reason I would get, you know, the multi-volt model, because you can use the batteries on both systems. And it will also open you up to other multi-volt tools. And there's a lot of good multi-volt tools. We'll probably drill into some of that stuff. So enough jibber jabbering. That's all I got. Hope the video helped you guys out. Have a great day. Do some good work, and we'll see you guys next time.